The Laws of Candy, a Tragi-Comedy, Act 1. Scene 1. Characters: Gasparo, Secretary of State for the Island of Candy; Meletus, a gentleman resident of the Island of Candy; and a messenger.
Sir, you're the very friend I wish to meet with. I have a large discourse invites your ear to be an auditor.
And what concerns it?
The sadly thriving progress of the loves between my lord, the prince, and that great lady, whose insolence and never yet matched pride can by no character be well expressed, but in her only name, the proud Eroda.
Alas, Meletus, I should guess the best success your prince could find from her to be as harsh as the event doth prove. But now 'tis not a time to pity passionate griefs, when a whole kingdom in a manner lies upon its deathbed bleeding.
Who can tell whether or no these plagues at once hang over this unhappy land for her sake that is a monster in it?
Here's the misery of having a child our prince, else I presume the bold Venetians had not dared to attempt so bloody an invasion.
Yet I wonder why, Master Secretary, still the Senate, so almost superstitiously adores Gonzalo, the Venetian lord, considering the outrage of his countrymen.
The Senate is wise and therein just, for this Gonzalo, upon a massacre performed at sea by the Admiral of Venice on a merchant of Candy, when the cause was to be heard, before the Senate there in open court professed that the cruelty the Admiral had showed deserved not only fine but death. For Candy then and Venice were at peace, since when upon a motion in the Senate for conquest of our land, 'tis known for certain that only this Gonzalo dared to oppose it. His reason was, because it too much savored of lawless and unjust ambition. The wars were scarce begun, but he, in fear of quarrels 'gainst his life, fled from his country, and hither came where, to confirm his truth, I know, Meletus, he out of his own store, hath moneyed Cassilanes the general.
What, without other pledges than Cassilanes' bare promise of payment?
No, it may be he has some peaty lordship to retire to, but thus he hath done. Now 'tis fit, Meletus, the Senate should be thankful. Otherwise they should annihilate one of those laws for which this kingdom is throughout the world unfollowed and admired.
What laws are those, sir? Let me so much importune you.
You shall, and they be worth your knowledge. Briefly thus, whoe'er he be that can detect, apparently, another of ingratitude for any received benefit, the plaintiff may require the offender's life, unless he please freely and willingly to grant remission.
I which strict law, the Senate is in danger, should they neglect Gonzalo.
Right, the law permits a like equality to aliens, as to a homebred patriot.
Pray, sir, the other?
No, Meletus, the elder Cretans flourished many years, in war, in peace, unparalleled, and they, to spur heroic spirits on to virtue, enacted that what man soe'er he were, did noblest in the field against his enemy, so by the general voice approved, and known, might at his home return, make his demand for satisfaction and reward.
They are both famous laws indeed.
Master Secretary, the Senate is about to sit and crave your presence.
What, so suddenly?
These letters will show the causes why.
Heaven, thou art great and worthy to be thanked.
Your countenance, sir, doth promise some good tidings.
Oh, the best and happiest for this land that e'er was told. All the Venetian forces are defeated.
How, sir?
And what doth add some delight more, there is amongst the soldiers a contention who shall be the triumpher, and it stands doubtful between a father and his son, old Cassilanes and young Antinos.
Why may not both demand it?
The law denies it, but where the soldiers do not all consent, the parties in contention are referred to plead before the Senate, and from them upon an open audience to be judged, the chief, and then to make demands.
You ravish me with wonder and delight.
Come, as we walk, I shall more fully inform you.
Scene 2, Part 1. Characters: Cassilanes, General of the Island of Candy. Antinous, son of Cassilanes, Arcanes, a loyal servant and friend to Cassilanes, and Decius, a friend to Antinous.
Admit no soldier near us till the Senate have took their places.
You are obeyed, my lord.
Decius, fall off.
I shall.
Give leave, Arcanes. Young man, come nearer to me. Who am I?
It were a sin against the piety of filial duty if I should forget the debt I owe my father on my knee. Your pleasure?
What? So low? Canst thou find joints, yet be an elephant? Antinous, rise. Thou wilt belie opinion, and rebate the ambition of thy gallantry, that they, whose confidence thou hast bewitched, should see their little god of war, kneel to his father, though in my hand I did grasp thunder.
Sir, for proof that I acknowledge you the author of giving me my birth, I have discharged a part of my obedience. But if now you should, as cruel fathers do, proclaim your right, and tyrant-like usurp the glory of my peculiar honors, not derived from successory, but purchased with my blood, then I must stand first champion for myself against all interposers.
Boldly urged, and proudly I could love thee, did not anger consult with just disdain, in open language to call thee most ungrateful. Say freely, wilt thou resign the flatteries whereon the reeling pillars of a popular breath have raised thy giant-like conceit, to add a suffrage to thy father's merit? Speak.
Sir, hear me. Were there not a chronicle well penned by all their tongues who can report what they have seen you do, or had you not best in your own performance writ yourself, and been your own text, I would undertake alone, without the help of art or character, but only to recount your deeds in arms, and you should ever then be famed a president of living victory. But as you are great, and well worthy to be styled great, it would betray a poverty of spirit in me to obstruct my fortunes or descent if I should coward-like surrender up the interest which the inheritance of your virtue and mine own thrifty fate can claim in honor. My lord, of all the mass of fame, which any that wears a sword, and hath but seen me fight, gives me, I will not share, nor yield one jot, one tittle.
Not to me?
You are my father, yet not to you.
Ambitious boy, how darst thou to tell me that thou wilt contend?
Had I been slothful, and not followed you in all the straits of death, you might have justly then reputed me a bastard. 'Tis a cruelty more than to murder innocence, to take the life of my yet infant honor from me.
Antinous, look upon this badge of age, thy father's gray-haired beard, full 50 years, and more than half of this ere thou wert born. I have been known a soldier, in which time I found no difference twixt war and peace, for war was peace to me, and peace was war. Antinous, mark me well. There hath not lived these 50 years a man whom Crete preferred before thy father. Let me boldly boast, thy father, both for discipline and action, hath so long been the first of all his nation. Now canst thou think it honest, charitable, nay humane, being so young, my son, my child, begot, bred, taught by me thy father, for one day's service, and that on thy first, to rob me of a glory which I fought for 100 years.
My case observes both equity and precedence. For, sir, that very day whereon you got your fame, you took it from some other, who was then chief in repute as you are now, and has been perhaps as many years deserving that which you gained in a day, as I have mine.
But he was not my father then, Antinous. Thou leavest out that.
Sir, had he been your father, he had been then immortal. For a father heightens his reputation where his son inherits it, as when you give us life, your life is not diminished but renewed in us when you are dead, and we are still your living images.
Thou cursed in thy posterity, as I in thee, dishonorable boy. O shall that sun, which not a year yet since beheld me mounted upon a fiery steed, waving my sword, and teaching this young man to manage arms, that was a raw, fresh novice in the feats of chivalry, shall that same sun be witness against this brat of his ingratitude, who, to eclipse the light of my renown, can no way hope to get a noble name, but by the treading on his father's greatness, thou wilt not yield?
My life, but not the prize my sword hath purchased.
The Senate, my lord, are here at hand, and all the soldiers begin to throng about them.
Now, Arcanes, the
What, sir?
trifles will affront us, that fine fighting stripling.
Let him have the shame on't. Please you withdraw on this side.
My great heart was never quailed before.
My lord, be confident. Let not your father daunt you.
Decius, whither must I withdraw?
On this side, and see the soldiers attend your pleasure. Courage, sir, the Senate.
Way for the Senate.
Scene 2, Part 2. Additional characters. Porficio, Senator of the Island of Candy. Poseen, Senator of the Island of Candy. Gonzalo, an ambitious political lord of the Island of Candy. Gaspero, Secretary of State of the Island of Candy. Soldiers, and Fernando, a Venetian captain, servant to Anafel.
My good lords, I know not what tax of arrogance I may incur, should I presume, though courted by your favors, to take a place amongst you. I had rather give proof of my unfeigned humility by force, though mean, yet more becoming place, than run the hazard of a doubtful censure.
My lord, your wisdom is both known and tried. We cannot rank you in a nobler friendship than your great service to the state deserves.
Will't please you, sir?
What's here, my lord Porficio? It must not be.
My lord, you are too modest.
It is no season to be troublesome, Elsa, but I have done. Your lordships are observed.
Is the demandant ready?
He is ready.
Produce him then.
Before this sacred presence, I, by a general consent, am made the soldier's voice, and to your gracious wisdoms, present as chief in arms, his country's champion, Cassilanes.
Most reverend lords, you hear the lesser number of those who have been guardians to this country. Approve this champion. I and all their names who fought for Candy. Here present before you, the mightiest man in arms, Antinous. Speak, fellow soldiers.
Antinous.
Stand by all, save the two competitors.
My lords, how much your country owes you both. The due reward of your desertful glories must to posterity remain. But yet since, by our law, one only can make claim to the proposed honors which you both, it seems, have truly merited, take leave freely to plead your rights. We shall attend ye.
Wherein priority of voice is granted, Lord Cassilanes to you, for that your rare and long experience in the course of war, as well doth challenge it as the best privilege of order and civility, for that you are your brave opponent's worthy father. Say, countrymen, are you content?
Aye.
Right grave, right gracious fathers, how unfit it is for me that all my lifetime have been practiced in the school of Bloud, and slaughter to bandy words now in my life's last farewell. Your wise domes will consider, were there pitched another and another field, like that, which, not yet 3 days since, this arm hath scattered, defeated, and made nothing. Then the man that had a heart to think he could but follow, for equal me he should not, through the lanes of danger and amazement, might in that only of but following me, be happy, reputed worthy to be made my rival. For 'tis not, lords, unknown to those about me, my fellow soldiers, first, with what a confidence I led them on to fight, went on still, and as if I could have been a second nature, as well in heartening them by my example, as by my exhortation, I gave life to quicken courage, to inflame revenge, to heighten resolution, in a word, to outdo action. It boots not to discover how that young man, who was not fledged nor skilled in martial play, was even as ignorant as childish. But I list not to disparage his non-ability. The signal given of battle, when our enemies came on, directed more by fury than by warrant of policy and stratagem. I met them. I in the forefront of the armies met them. And as if this old weather-beaten body had been composed of cannon-proof, I stood the volleys of their shot. I myself was he that first disranked their woods of pikes. But when we came to handy strokes, as often as I lent blows, so often I gave wounds, and every wound a death. I may be bold to justify a truth. This very sword of mine slew more than any twain besides, and, which is not the least of all my glory, when he, this young man, hand to hand in fight, was by the general of the Venetians, and such as were his retinue, unhorsed, I stepped between, and rescued him myself, or horses' hoofs had trampled him to dirt. And whilst he was remounting, I maintained the combat with the gallant general, till, having taken breath, he thronged before me, renewed the fight, and with a fatal blow, stole both that honor from me, and his life from him, whom I, before myself alone, had more than full 3/4 killed. A man well worthy only by this hand to have died, not by a boy's weak push. I talk too much, but it is a fault of age, if to bring home long peace, long victory, even to your capital, if to secure your kingdom, wives and children, your lives and liberties, if to renown your honors through the world, to fix your names, like blazing stars admired and feared by all that have but heard of Candy, or a Cretan, be to deserve the approvement of my manhood, then thus much have I done. What more? Examine the annals of my life, and then consider what I have been, and am. Lords, I have said.
With reverence to the Senate, is it lawful, without your customs breach, to say a word?
Say on, my lord Gonzalo.
I have heard, and with no little wonder, such high deeds of chivalry discoursed, that I confess I do not think the worthies, while they lived all 9, deserved as much applause or memory as this one. But who can do aught to gain the crown of honor from him must be somewhat more than a man. You tread a dangerous path, yet I shall hear you gladly. For believe me, thus much let me profess, in honor's cause, I would not to my father nor my king, my country's father, yield. If you transcend what we have heard, I can but only say that miracles are yet in use. I fear I have offended.
You have spoken nobly. Antinous, use your privilege.
Princely fathers, ere I begin, one suit I have to make, 'tis just and honorable.
Speak and have it.
That you would please the soldiers might all stand together by their general.
'Tis granted. All fall to yonder side. Go on, Antinous.
I shall be brief and plain. All what my father, this country's patron, hath discoursed is true. Fellows in arms, speak you, is true.
True.
It follows that the blaze of my performance took light from what I saw him do, and thus a city, though the flame be much more dreadful, may from a little spark be set on fire. Of all what I have done, I shall give instance only in 3 main proofs of my desert. First I sought out, but through how many dangers, my lords, judge ye, the chief, the great commander, the head of that huge body, whose proud weight our land shrunk under. Him I found and fought with, and slew. Fellows in arms, speak you, is true or not?
True.
When he was fallen, the hearts of all our adversaries began to quail, till young Fernando, son to the last Duke of Venice, gathered head, and soon renewed the field, by whose example the bold Venetians, doubling strength and courage, had got the better of the day. Our men, supposing that their adversaries grew like Hydra's head, recoil and gan to fly, I followed them, and what I said, they know. The summy on't is, I called them back, new ranked them. Led on they followed, shrunk not till the end. Fellows in arms is true or no?
True, true.
Lastly, to finish all, there was but one, the only great exploit, which was to take Fernando prisoner, and that hand to hand in single fight I did, myself without the help of any arm, save the arm of heaven. Speak, soldiers, is it true or no?
Antinous, Antinous.
Behold my prisoner, fathers.
This one man ruined our army, and hath glorified Crete in her robes of mightiness and conquest.
We need not use long circumstance of words. Antinous, thou art conqueror. The Senate, the soldiers, and thy valor have pronounced it.
Antinous, Antinous.
Make thy demand.
Please ye, my lords, give leave that I may part.
No Castellane, the court should therein be dishonored. Do not imagine we prize your presence at so slight a rate. Demand, Antinous.
Thus, my lords, to witness how far I am from arrogance, or thinking I am more valiant, though more favored than my most matchless father, my demand is, that for a lasting memory of his name, his deeds, his real, nay his royal worth, you set up in your capital in brass my father's statue, there to stand forever a monument and trophy of his victories, with this inscription to succeeding ages, great Castellanes, patron of Candy's peace, perpetual triumpher.
It is granted. What more?
No more.
How, boy?
Thou art immortal both for thy son-like piety and beauties of an unconquered mind.
My prisoner lords, to your more sacred wisdoms I surrender. Fit you his ransom, half whereof I give for largesse to the soldiers, the other half to the erection of this monument.
Ambitious villain.
Thou art all unimitable. My lords, to work a certain peace for Candy with Venice, use Fernando like a prince. His ransom I'll disburse whate'er it be. Yet you may stay him with you till conditions of amity shall be concluded on. Are ye content?
We are, and ever rest both friends and debtors to your nobleness.
Soldiers, attend me in the marketplace. Fie, thither send your largesse.
Antinous, Antinous.
I have a suit too, lords.
Propose it, 'tis yours, if fit and just.
Let not my services, my being 40 years a drudge, a pack horse to you and to the state, be branded now with ignominy never to be forgotten. Rear me no monument, unless you mean to have me famed a coward, and be stamped so.
We understand you not.
Proud boy, thou dost, and tyrant-like insultst upon my shame.
Sir, heaven can tell, and my integrity, what I did, was but only to enforce the Senate's gratitude. I now acknowledge it.
Observe it, fathers, how this haughty boy grows cunning in his envy of mine honors. He knows no mention can of me be made, but that it ever likewise must be told, how I by him was mastered, and for surety that all succeeding times may so report it, he would have my dishonor and his triumphs engraved in brass. Hence proceeds the falsehood of his insinuating piety. Thou art no child of mine, thee and thy blood, here in the Capitol, before the Senate, I utterly renounce, so thrift and fate confirm me. Henceforth never see my face, be as thou art, a villain to thy father. Lords, I must crave your leaves. Come, come, arcanes.
Here's a strange high-born spirit.
'Tis but heat of sedane present rage. I dare assure Antinous of his favor.
I not doubt it. He is both a good man and a good father. I shall attend your lordships.
Do Antinous.
Yes, feast thy triumphs with applause and pleasures.
Lead on.
I utterly renounce 'twas so, was not my Decius?
Pish, you know, my lord, old men are choleric.
And lastly parted with, never henceforth see my face. O me, how have I lost a father, such a one Decius. I am miserable beyond expression.
Fie, how unbecoming this shows upon your day of fame.
O mischief, I must no more come near him, that I know and am assured on't.
Say you do not?
True. Put case I do not. What is Candy then to lost Antinous? Malta, I resolve to end my days in thee.
How's that?
I'll try all humble means of being reconciled, which if denied, then I may justly say, this day has proved my worst. Decius, my worst.